So let's start here. So it says the state auditor wants to find the average salary, and you have a sample of 169, which notice the sample is more than 30. And then the value for the standard, it tells you that it's known that the standard deviation is 400, so therefore they give you sigma. So because of this, that's why you have to use this is z and not t, and then here x bar is equals to 3000. Okay. For part A, 90%, remember, means alpha is 0.05. And technically, you can just, you should memorize this. It may be easier. It's still better to do the steps, but 90% automatically means you're going to use 1.64. 95 will be 1.96. And this is 2.58. Now, again, this is only if you're using Z. Otherwise, you have to go through the table, okay? So here, alpha is 0.05. So for step 1, we're going to divide alpha over 2, which will give you 0.025. And like I just told you, then 0.025 is equals to 1. Oh, no, this should be 0.05, yes, not 0.025. Hold on. So this should be 0.05. And like we just talked about this should be 1.64. Is that okay? Yeah. Then for step 2, we need to find the margin of error. So remember, this is z of alpha over 2 sigma divided by the square root of n. So in this case, is 1.64 times 400 divided by 169. And how much is this? 50 point what? 4613. Yes. So now, since we're talking about this is perfectly fine, okay? But since we're talking about salary, salary makes more sense to say as a whole number. It's not wrong if you say you make $50.46 per hour or per day or whatever, but most. Can we put 50-50? Yeah, you can write 50-50, yes. Okay. Yeah, that's fine, okay? Hey, can you check that, Professor? Because I don't know if I did the math. All right, so that is correct. Now, like I told you, you round it to all of that. It's not wrong. But here, since you notice the salary is a whole number, I'm just gonna round this to 50-50. Okay, I mean to just to $50, but it's nothing wrong if you write decimals. So step 3, when we had to do x bar plus or minus e. So in our case, this will be just 3000 plus or minus 50. See, this is why you round it to 50, because it will be easier to do the step 4. So then mu is between 3050 and 2090. Not 90. What is it? 950, right? Yeah. Okay. And then what is the explanation to this? It will be the state auditor, right? Or whoever it is. So in this case, is the state auditor is 90%, yes, 90% sure the state employee or the city employees make between what? 2950 and 3050. Yeah. And 3050 per month. I think it's per month. Yeah. And that's it. Yes. In your lecture notes, the video, you said. Yeah, it's right. So what I mean, I already divided this one should be 0.10. I just skip one step. 0.10 divided by 2 will give you this. So it's right. You're right. Okay. I got confused. I'm like, huh? No. You're right. I was thinking. I was originally gonna do the 95%. That's why. Okay. Okay. But you are. This should be Should be 0.10. You're right. And then 0.10 you divide by 2. Everything is correct here. I wanted to write this first, but okay. No problem. All right, so is that okay? All right, so then a 95 is essentially the same thing, except that, okay, now we're going to use, for step 1, let me write this for step 1, we're going to use 0.025, which now will be 1.96, right? And then for step 2, E will be 1.96 times 400 divided by the square root of 169. Did anybody compute that? How much is it? This comes out to 60, around 60. Okay. So then step 3, it will be x bar plus or minus E, which in our case, it will be just 3,000 plus or minus 60. And then when you write this out, it will be 3,060. And this will be 2,940. And that will be the interval. You can see the, yes.
So for step 2, just round it out to 60.
The only reason why I rounded it to 60 is because in this case, the context of the problem. But if you use 60.37, which is what you got, then it's not wrong. What I'm saying is, this: if somebody asks you, like, how much money you make per month, you will say 3,000. Let's say that you actually made this much money per month, okay? 60, 30, 72, 69, 2, right? So if somebody asks you how much you make per month, you are not going to say 3,060 and then 3070692. That's how much I make a month, right? I will, to confuse people, but most people will say just 3,060, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it depends on the problem. But this is not wrong. This is not wrong, okay? It's just depending on what the question is asking, it made more sense to just round it to something very specific. That's why.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I got the same answer. I just wondered.
No, it's right. It's right. It's just what you tell people. That's my point. So just think about that. Like, how would you, if you were going to explain this to somebody, you don't say, "Oh, I made 3,600 and then a bunch of digits after that," right?
Right.
Jaime for part C, that's exactly what you meant. So let's check that one. So for this one, step 1, you need 0.005, which is 2.58, right?
Yes.
Then step 2, E will be now 2.58 times 400 divided by the square root of 169. And how much is that?
79.38.
What is it? So 79?
79.38.
Okay, so let's go with 79. Okay. And then step 3, x bar plus or minus E, which will be 3,000 plus or minus 79, and it's the same story. So this will be 379, and then you subtract, this will be 2921.
Yeah.
And
2920.
yes.
You're right.
And that's it. And then just the explanation is that you are 99% sure that this is the true salary, well, this one is 95. Now, the most common one is usually 95%, but on the class, we always do 90, 95, 97. Now, in theory, you can do 92 or 96%, but we're always going to do 90, 95, or 99. Okay? We just pick one. Let's go with this one, because we're going to need this value. That's what I mean, okay? So the formula for E, remember, not E, the sample size is going to be Z of alpha over 2 times sigma divided by E squared. That's just the formula, okay? So in our case, if we use this one, because remember you had 3 choices, but the problem will specify which one to use, then this will be 2.5A times 400, because that's the value for sigma, divided by the marginal error, which is 200. And then all of this will be square. So this over this is 2, so it's technically just 2.58 times 2, and then you square. So how much is that?
I got 2064. I don't know if that's right. I don't think so.
It's 20. I got 26 point something. So 26.
26.62.
Yeah. So now, since this has to be a whole number, why? Because it says of a sample, you can have a sample of 26.6. So this one should always be a whole number, okay? Just remember that. The whole number, because it's asking you for how large of a sample. So this will be 27. That's it. So for this one, this is about the proportion. This is from 7.3. I told you there is no standard deviation. That's how you can tell. But mainly you can tell it's about proportion because it does tell you right here. So there is no confusion in there. So here the value for n is 360. And the value for x is 144. So we need p hat. So how much is that? How much is 144 over 360? Anybody?
0.4.
0.4. So that one is easy. All right. So then, since this is 90, okay. So remember 90%. Let me get it right this time. That means alpha is 0.10. So for the step 1, this will be alpha over 2, which is 0.05. And like we talked about it, this is 1.64 or 1.64, either 645. Either one is fine. So then step 2, this is the part that is different. The margin of error is this, okay? So it's z of alpha over 2, the square root of p hat, 1 minus p hat, divided by n, okay? And I'll show you how to do this slowly in the calculator right now. So first plug in the value. This is 1.64. This is 0.4. How much is 1 minus 0.4? It will be 0.6. And then divided by 360. Okay. So how much is this? All right. So that's part A. So notice here if you check, the steps are identical. But since this changes, the whole thing will change, but the process is the same. Is that okay? Part B and part C are the same thing. So the one that is different is part D. So I'm just gonna jump to part D. So the difference between part B and part C is what? What's the only difference? Is 95 and 99, right? That's it. Okay, just like here. Okay, but part D is different. Okay, so then for part D, this is what we have. The formula, by the way, the formula is on the formula sheet, so you don't have to memorize it. But n is equals to z of alpha over 2 divided by e and everything square, and then it will be p hat 1 minus p hat. Now, before we enter the values, let's just recap what were the values we had before. P hat, remember, was 0.4, right? So therefore 1 minus p hat, well, has to be 0.6. What about E? What do you think is the value for E, the margin of error?
Will it be 0.03?
Yes.
Yeah, it's 0.03.
Yeah, just make sure you use the correct decimal place. And here, remember you had 3 choices for this one. So since it doesn't specify, in this case, you can literally pick any of those 3. But on the test, it will tell you to use 90, 95, or 99%. So let's go with the last one. Remember, for 99%, 0.005 is 2.58. So let's just use that one. So this will be 2.58 divided by 0.03 square times 0.4 times 0.6. Right, so in this one, it's better to do in the calculator, do 2.58 divided by 0.03. And you should get 86. And then you square, not a square root, square. And that should give you 7,396 times 0.4 times 0.6, and this is equals to 1775.04. And remember, this has to be a whole number, so this will be 1775. Oh, I think I have an extra 7, and that's it. Any questions on this? Okay. All right. So just make sure that you write the percentage correctly, because the most common mistake is people write just the number 3 here instead of 0.03. Okay. All right. So is that okay? So now let's go to the last problem, which is from 7.2. So for this one, you need the T table. And let's see the information we have. You notice this is very similar to the first question, but the value for n now is 25, and now you have the sample standard deviation. So therefore here n is 25, which is less than 30, and then x bar is 2800, and now you have s equals to 500. By the way, if you for these problems, if you confuse s with sigma, nothing happens. You actually will get the same answer. Okay, the one that it matters is here. If you use z instead of t, yeah, that's going to change the answer. But if you replace this by sigma, nothing will change. The formula will still work the same. Okay, all right.
Why we use S on this one, Professor, on this question instead of sigma?
Oh, because since the value since this is not normal, you cannot assume that this is a normal distribution unless n is more than 30. So that's why you go with the sample standard deviation. That's why. Okay. But like I said, the formula is not going to change if you use either one, because if you notice in 7.1, this is the formula. E is C of alpha over 2 and then sigma divided by the square root of n. And in 7.2, E is T of alpha over 2 and then S divided by the square root of n. So therefore, if you confuse these two, since this is an approximation to this one anyways, nothing will happen. But if you switch these two, then the answer will change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go with a 90%. So remember, 90% means alpha is 0.10. Now you need to find the value from the table. It will not be given to you like in 7.1 or 7.2. So for step 1, remember alpha over 2 will be 0.05. And then T, you need T of 0.05. How many degrees of freedom will be here? Remember, it's n minus 1. So n is 25, so the degrees of freedom is 24. How much is this from the table, anybody? 2 point...
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Professor, 0.05. It's a 1.711.
1.711, yes, that's right. All right, so after this is identical to 7.1, okay, like identical. All right, so after that, this is the same. So step 2, the margin of error is going to be now 1.71. So technically, this will replace 1.64. So this value will be different every time depending on what degrees of freedom you have, okay? All right, so this will be 1.711 times S, which in this case is 500, and then divided by the square root of n, which in this case is 25. So this simplifies to 1.71. You have this is 500 divided by 5, which is 100. And to multiply by 100 is pretty easy. So this is 171.1. So it's 171, since in this case it makes more sense to have whole numbers, right? Then step 3, the same thing we did before. It will be x bar plus or minus E. So this is so this will be then 2800 plus or minus 171. So you use the calculator. How much is that? Well, this will be 2971. What about the other side? It's 20.
2629.
And the explanation is that the state auditor is 90% sure that state employees or city employees made between 2,699 and 2,629 and 2,971 per month. That's it. Right. So now this one should be the same, except this is 95. So let's just do step 1 for this. The rest will be the same. So here alpha over 2 will be now 0.025, right? So then you will need T of 0.025 with 24 degrees of freedom. How much is that? So just look to the T table.
64.
2.064, yes. So the rest will be the same.
No, I'm sorry, it's 25, so it's 2.060.
60, okay. So then all you have to do is replace this value for this one, but the steps are identical. And obviously the numbers will change, but this value will change, so that will change everything. So is that okay?